Welcome to 10 Minutes With. It's a podcast for people who want to listen to podcasts but don't have all day. We've got a quick chat with someone you might be interested in learning more about in about 10 minutes. I'm Melanie Coe. Wes Hampton grew up in Tennessee listening to the iconic Gaither vocal band, but singing wasn't a big part of his life until his youth pastor gave him some encouragement. Paint that picture for us.
So I grew up in a town called Brownsville in West Tennessee. The small town I grew up in, it was one of those churches. It was the biggest church in town, but it was only about 500 people. The worship pastor, Brother Ralph, he is still living and is in great health as far as I know. Brother Ralph was one of those guys who, he kind of did everything, but he was an unbelievable youth pastor, just awesome. But he really helped shepherd me, really helped encourage me to sing. Because I grew up not wanting to sing. I loved music. I didn't really know that God had gifted me to sing. I knew that I could stay on pitch. Again, I loved music. I loved harmonies. My parents even told me when I was about 4 in the car, they heard me harmonizing with the Imperials. They thought, that's interesting that he can already hear the harmonies. So that's something that was always natural to me. But I'm somewhat introverted, and still to this day, I don't like being on a stage in front of people, which is quite ironic considering that's my job. But I think also it's one of those things where I think for the moment God equips us for what he's called us to do. And I feel like he's called me to do this. So whenever I'm nervous, I just pray, God, put your hand upon me. And he does. He gives me the enough confidence to get out there and do that. I think he used Brother Ralph to give me confidence as well to do that. I'm so thankful for him. Just a wonderful man.
Well, then you grew up, and what direction was your life taking then?
I was going straight toward med school, and God said, no, let's take a right turn here. I don't want you to do that. So I thought, well, I've enjoyed the psychology class I took. Let's just do psychology. And then started working for a church in Birmingham. And that to me taught me so much of just being open, really trying to listen to God's voice and where he's leading.
I was thinking about the disciples the other day, and, Jesus kept sending them out in the boat. And I'm sure at some point they were like, why does he keep leaving us alone? And then there'd be a storm, but then he'd be there with them walking on the water. We're never really out of his sight, but man, sometimes it feels like it.
Yes, sometimes you think, gosh, where are you? It's like that song that the vocal band has sung for years. Mainly Mark Lowry sings it, but that song, Make It Real. And then the other song that Bill and Gloria wrote, I Believe, Help Thou My Unbelief. Because there's times, too, where I think if we're all being really honest with ourselves, we all have had moments of our lives where we've had some doubt. And I think that's okay. I think God can handle our doubts. He can handle our questions. He can handle all the whys. I think he can also change our perspective of whatever situation we're in.
You've been with the Gaither vocal band for about 19 years now, but I want to know what that 7-week audition process was like for you.
It was a very long 7 weeks. I remember many sleepless nights, lying in bed, just thinking, man, who else are they listening to? Who else is auditioning? How many other people are auditioning? I was thinking, God, thank you for giving me this amazing experience. Just to get to meet Bill, to get to know him a little bit, to get to know the guys, to get to sing with them. That was my dream all along, was just to sing with the vocal band.
Yes.
So, but I found out after I got it, Marshall Hall, who was singing baritone for the group at the time, who's my best buddy, he said, Wes, you were the only guy we were really looking at.
I feel like your voice blends so well.
Oh, that's interesting, because when we were driving up for that initial meeting, because I didn't meet Bill the first meeting. And I had met Bill at other things like Family Fest when I went as a fan. But it was just in passing, oh my gosh, I just met Bill Gaither. I remember the drive up there telling my wife, Andrea, I said, I know there's better singers than me out there. I'm fine with that. There's 2 things I'm confident of. No one's going to know the material better than I. There could be someone who knows it as well as me, but they will not know it better than me. And the second thing I knew going into it very confidently was I'm a really good blender. I feel like one of my strengths as a singer, again, there's way better singers than me out there, but I'm a great blender.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the Gaither Vocal Band. You guys travel a lot on the bus. Does the bus have a name?
I'm pretty sure it is a she. You know, what's really sad, she was in a really bad accident. Several months ago, we were outside of Flagstaff, and it was about 2 a.m., and we were all on the bus, all the vocal bands. The roads were icy, these two semis, and they didn't slow down. And by the time they saw our bus, they came over a hill. They basically split at the very last second, sideswiped both back corners of our bus. That's where Bill sleeps. Completely blew up a radiator. She has been in the shop for months, and we're hoping that we can get her back for at least the Christmas tour. So we need to name her.
Okay, so while you're traveling, what do you guys do for fun?
Most people would not think this is fun. For us, it is a stress reliever.
Okay.
It helps us kind of get ready and focused and warm up. We go find a place to work out. I know that doesn't sound fun. We try to get after it every day, and it just helps us.
Yeah, gets you ready.
As I said, focus.
Yeah.
It actually energizes us, gets us awake and all that. So that's what we do. We have been known to do pickleball as well. And we're all pretty competitive. Bill doesn't join in, but Bill will watch.
Do you guys have any traditions that you do right before a show?
Well, something that this current group has always done is we always pray before we go out. If we have, a few minutes, we'll extend it as well. And somebody different prays every night before we go out. So that's something that's awesome. We think is really important. I think it helps align us to make sure we're all headed in the right direction. And again, it gives us the right perspective before we go out and we sing. And I think that's just really important to have that mindset. We also pray that the songs would not be just routine, but that it would really be a personal thing that we're singing about.
So what's your prayer as you go out on stage?
My prayer every night is that it would come from a very authentic place, that God's touch, His Holy Spirit would be on me, would be with me, would sing through me. Because if that's not happening, it's just meaningless. It's just a bunch of words. It's a bunch of empty words. This
show is called Fall Moments to Remember. So what can people expect when they come out?
We are doing more things from the Love Songs album. Bill has done a great job of incorporating some love songs. And people say, well, why are you doing secular songs? Why are you doing love songs? Well, I think that there's not much more spiritual than the relationship between a husband and a wife. And I think people forget that. And I think that's something worth talking about, something worth singing about and celebrating. So we're going to sing maybe 3 or 4. And some of them are fun. Some of them are very nostalgic for people as well. I just think that's something worth celebrating.
What would you like people to take with them on their drive home?
What I love about a vocal band concert in particular is that there's such a variety of music, stylistically, even though it is vocal band. I think if people have never been, I think it is a very spiritual time. They will laugh. They will probably cry. But I think Bill does a great job of interweaving the serious with comedy, with real life things. Something that the Bill has talked about recently with our concerts, during our concerts, is just the reality of life and trying to raise kids, trying to raise grandkids. And again, the choices that they make, sometimes it's out of your hands, but you got to love them where they are and pray that God is going to lead them eventually to the right place. Mm-hmm. So that's a big thing that we're singing about. So I think we're hopeful that people will, on the drive home, talk about, okay, our grandchild that we're worried about, or our son or our daughter that we're worried about. We just got to continue to trust that God will lead them through this time and lead them back home.
Now, if you've enjoyed this episode of 10 Minutes With, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. You might also consider giving to Family Life, the listener-funded ministry that makes this and other podcasts possible. Just go to familylife.org and find out more about what we do. Did you know Family Life offers a variety of podcasts? Get up to date with Family Life news or enjoy some family time with Family Life's Kids Corner. There's If That Makes Sense, a Family Life original podcast where they talk about what life is really like as a Christian in your 20s. And Therese Talk, a podcast with help for women to better serve their families and their communities. They're all free and on demand at familylife.org/podcast.